Americans, by an overwhelming majority, reject the current system. We know that from polling that stretches back for decades.
If we don't start making every voter feel like their vote counts, we're creating problems over time.
If your vote is meaningless, you're less likely to vote.
In life, we believe that every voter should have an equal voice and a representation in voting for the President of the United States of America. A democracy accomplishes this by making everyone's vote equal in the choosing of the members of their government. The voting system that the United States uses is called the Electoral College. Each state has a number of electors equal to their representation in Congress, which is based on population. These electors vote for whichever candidate has a majority of the vote in that state. A candidate needs 270 electoral votes from the states to be elected president. The main issue with the Electoral College is that the votes are not equal in different states. Voters in swing states have much more power over an election because they have a chance to change which candidate their electoral vote goes to.
The states that have any chance of voting for both a Republican or a Democrat are the ones that are going to have the most power and attention. So, I mean, if you look at the number of stops at non-swing states during the heat post-Labor Day and the election, it's basically zero.
Since these swing states have so much power, presidential candidates primarily campaign to them instead of trying to win all the states, disregarding what the rest of America wants. A Republican voting in a state like Rhode Island that primarily votes Democratic can't change where Rhode Island's electoral vote goes. But a Republican voting in Florida has a chance to change the election. This gives minority voters in states that are majority Democratic or Republican no reason to vote unless their state has a large chance of flipping.
Our vision for the 2020 election is for the candidates to address reforms for the Electoral College because it is an imperfect system and it makes people's voting power dependent on where they live.
I think the framers of the Constitution were trying to find a system that would give the states a significant role in selecting the president. They were trying to make sure that the selection of the president would be not simply determined by Congress.
We're going to keep power over elections at the state level. We're going to use state lines like the watertight compartments on an ocean liner, where if something goes wrong in the election in one state, it doesn't spill over and sink the whole ship.
The advantages are continuity, first of all. It's been a system that, on the whole, has worked reasonably well over the vast span of American history.
The advantages of the Electoral College is that it is the system that we currently have, and it will take a lot of work, either through a constitutional amendment or through legislation like the National Popular Vote Bill, to change it. The National Popular Vote Bill is an agreement between states to give their electoral votes to the National Popular Vote winner once enough states have signed on to have a majority of the Electoral College. A constitutional amendment would be very difficult to have passed, so the National Popular Vote Bill is the better option. However, the National Popular Vote needs more states to pass it for it to take effect.
The National Popular Vote basically is just an agreement among the states that once it hits over 50%, they will go along with the popular vote.
That there is also a question about whether that compact is constitutional. But I suspect if it ever did get close to passage, we would see litigation.
The Electoral College makes your vote have different amounts of weight depending on what state you are voting in. If you're voting against the majority in your state, your vote has almost no impact on the election. If you're in a swing state, your vote could have a lot of effect on how the election turns out. Another flaw is that it is possible to win the Electoral College vote with the minority of the popular vote. 5 times, a president has been elected who had the majority of the Electoral College but less than 50% of the popular vote.
There are a number of concerns about the Electoral College, and one is that voters in some states can have more power than in others.
The Electoral College should be an important topic in this year's election because it determines who will finally win the election. We believe that the Electoral College is not the ideal and most accurate way of choosing the president. It does not give people equal power in choosing the president, but instead gives the majority of the power to the people in the swing states.